All right, hang on a second, Ray. And the reason I bring Ray into this is because he's involved with many of these stories, and he's a prominent player in this next story, which is a three-parter. It takes place over a year or so, and it really you could peel it like an onion. Now, just so people know, I will not exaggerate any of these stories. The truth itself sounds like an exaggeration. Many of the things that we actually did seem that way. Sometimes I'll come across as a hero. Other times I'll have S in my ear. But once in a while there's a story where I do come off like, hey, wow, tough guy or good guy or sweet guy. Yes, I'm not gonna dumb myself down on that one. On the other hand, most of them end up with me getting something in my ear. This is Dave Damashek's favorite, so I'm gonna tell it. And Ray weaves in at a certain point here. I'm gonna put Ray on hold because his line's a little fuzzy, but I'll bring him in as necessary. I went to I guess it'd be sort of a make-out party. I had a couple of buddies, Jackie and Terry, and they had a couple of gals, and there was another gal for me, and somebody's folks were out of town. I was living out of the house. I must have been 19 or 20. These guys were a year or two younger than me. Maybe they were 18 or 19 when I was 20, 21. Living in my apartment with my buddy Chris and the Wees over there in North Hollywood. And I just went, hey, so-and-so's out of town. Folks got a decent house up in the hills. We're going to go up there and raid the liquor cabinet. Hopefully we'll all make out and get it on. This is going to be awesome. So I went out there. And Dave handed me a note that it said explain DTR, which is don't tell Ray. Ray screwed up so many parties. Ray would go to parties and, you'd throw people Ray would throw people in the pool and they'd yell, please just let me take my leather shoes off and my wallet out before you throw me in the pool. And Ray would toss them in the pool and then the wallet and the shoes would go right after them. So eventually, the only way we could get to go to parties is if Ray didn't go to the parties, because people would explain to us, if Ray shows up, none of you are getting in. So we used to have DTR parties. And Ray would find out, and it was the only time I really saw his feelings hurt. He'd say, what are you guys doing Saturday? And we'd go, oh, we're going to a party. And he'd go, great. And we'd go, DTR. Oh. Ray, you did hate the DTR parties, did you not?
Well, yeah, man. In fact, I'm hurt thinking about it.
All right. Don't tell Ray. What's names of parties? Had their own names. All right, so the point is I go to this make-out party. It's just 3 or 4 people. I got my girl. Of course, the other 2 chicks are hot, and I get the fat, crazy one. Then I'm not interested, and there's not enough booze in the old man's liquor cabinet to make me interested. So while my buddies adjourn to the separate bedrooms and are happily getting it on with their hot young chicks, I'm just watching ESPN 5 in the den and getting drunk. Eventually, I decide it's time to leave. So I'm going to leave my buddies behind and just go home. Once again, drunk and defeated. I get up and I start heading out the front door. She wants to know where I'm going, but I say, I'm going to call the night. She was batty. That part I do remember clearly. I start heading down the stairs. Well, as I start heading down the stairs outside the house, up come the stairs hooligans. Guys look like gangbangers. And a mixed breed. Kind you only see in the movies. Had the Japanese guy and the black guy and the Mexican guy all running in the same group. And they're all coming up the stairs as I'm coming down the stairs. It's literally kind of thing where it's, excuse me, fellas, I got to get by. She says from the top of the stairs, he hit me.
Oh.
And she points at me.
Just because you were leaving.
I think what it is I had maybe embarrassed her because it was a make-out party and I did not deem her make-outable. I would rather just go home, cut my losses, and call it a night. So she says that. Of course, these guys who are tough guys, and there's plenty of them, all sort of get around. What are you doing hitting a girl? What are you doing? Listen, I didn't do anything. I'm getting out of here. They start up. I explain I went no trouble. I had knee surgery. I had arthroscopic knee surgery 3 or 4 days earlier.
ACL?
Yes, and I had still stitches in my knee. And now, I'll tell you, it's the greatest commercial you could ever give for this, because I was up on my feet and feeling good just 3 or 4 days later, but I still had stitches in my knee. So I tried to get past these guys, and they kept with it, and eventually I said to them, listen, fellas, and maybe this was my problem, because I was a little bit drunk. I said, I'd love to fight, but I can't. I just got knee surgery, and, Doc says no street fights. And the one guy piped up.
What a note.
The one guy says, I'm gonna break your other knee, was his exact words to me. And I said, all right, well, now it's on. So then there's this stupid Marcus of Queensberry thing where I'm like, all right, if your 4 or 5 hooligan friends promise to stay out of this, me and the scary Mexican guy will go out in the street and square off, but you guys need to back out. Now I have your words as gentlemen, right? Because he's bigger than I am, he's scarier than I am, I'm sure he'll beat me up, so let's just go out and do this, but you guys promise to stay out of the fray, right? Okay. So we go out in the street and we start fighting like some movie.
And you're adrenaline.
And you're encircled by all the rogues. Yes.
Yeah, they're standing around and they're giving me and this guy, their tough guy, space to duke it out in the street in front of this nutty broad's house up in the Laurel Canyon Hills. So we're doing it and I'm beating the guy up. At the time, I was doing a little kickboxing, and it's all coming back to me, you know, and this guy's just a big drunken buffoon, and I whack him around a few times, and I punch him one time, and he just falls back into the group, and he never comes back out again. And now, this is probably problem number 2. I start with the verbal taunts now.
Oh, no.
Oh, wait, 5 minutes ago, you were begging to fight. Well, here I am, and now this is it. This is all you got. I barely broke sweat. My adrenaline's going. I'm shouting this guy down, calling him a puss and everything. Next thing you know, I feel a stinging in my right shoulder. It's a beer bottle being broken on me. Not swung at me, thrown at me. Beer bottle, empty beer bottle, thrown at me, and it just explodes on my right shoulder. Doesn't cause a cut, doesn't tear my shirt.
Impossible.
100 times, and 99 times it's going to, leave a gash, or it's not going to break, it's going to leave a bruise, or it's going to break your collarbone. It just hits in just such a way where it just explodes. No glass hits me in the eye or the face. I'm perfectly fine. It's just a beer. It's like you took a beer bottle, just threw it against a brick wall. All luck, but I'm fine. And then I feel a baseball bat on my left knee.
Oh.
Now, the right knee just had the surgery. It was the left knee that the guy had. He didn't know which knee. I assume he thought he was getting the one that had surgery. But a full swing from a baseball bat, he came up behind me and swung at my knee. Now, he hits just above the knee on the meaty part of the thigh, and he hits me from behind. So about all I do is curtsy. I mean, if you could give a guy one place to take a swing at you with a baseball bat, it would be the meaty part of your thigh just above your knee. And he took a full swing, but again, just as luck would have it, just like the beer bottle, it did nothing to me. Well, now these guys thought I was like on PCP or something.
They think you're a superhero.
Right. We just
Superbrow.
Break the bat. We hit the guy with the bat. We hit the guy with the bottle. He just beats up our tough Mexican friend. So what a lot of guys would have done is just turned tail at that point, but they decided to all jump on me at that point. So after the beer bottle and the bat didn't work, then they all converged on the ace man, and then they began pummeling me. Eventually, I sort of broke free.
I was going to say, were you, for a moment, you were obscured by the mass, and then you burst up like the Matrix.
They went flying.
They all flew away.
I actually ran. Unlike the Matrix. One of the guys...
Well, it was a fight or flight response.
Yes, the guy... Few of them popped me. Unclear who popped me in the mouth, but my lip got cut on my prodigious molars, and blood was going all over my conveniently white button-up shirt and everything. It was just bleeding all over the place, but I still felt fine. And now I wanted the brother man. There was a black guy in the group who did hit me with the uppercut. So me and him then squared off in some kind of crazy kung fu theater because he evidently had some training. To the point where he was doing okay against me when eventually some neighbor came out and called the cops or whatever it is. It all broke up. And I went home, and I had blood all over my shirt, and I was all effed up, and I staggered into my apartment, and there was Ray, and there was Chris, and what the hell happened after that, Ray?
We just saw you, and we were like in disbelief and asking what the hell happened, and you gave us the lowdown, and Chris and I headed up.
That's what friends do.
I like
Ray and Chris went up, and they were PO'd, and they went right up to the house, and they busted in, and the guys were still there, probably trying to make time with my crazy fat chick. And one of them pulled a knife on my buddy Chris, and he busted it.
He grabbed Chris Bohm grabs the knife out of the guy's hands and breaks it in half in front of the guy and throws it at him. And then, Ray, what did you do?
I just gagged right, with haste, went after him, chased everybody.
So, yeah, but Ray and Chris are both more animal than man, especially at 19 or 20. So now the rest of the story goes that the guy who hit me, do you remember the guy's name who hit me with the bat, Ray?
Terry Mosier, I think.
That's the guy's name. Terry
I
Mosier.
still hate him.
I said, what kind of animal, after I announced I've had knee surgery, would come up behind me and take a swing at me with a baseball bat in my knee? So I wanted to kill this guy, and so did Ray, and so did Chris, but we could never find the guy. And it was New Year's. It was my buddy Umgad's house. Yes. Umgad Abu Zamzam.
In the end, do you wish you had just made out with the fat crazy girl?
I should have just taken my lumps with her rather than with the bat. But we found him, or I shouldn't say we found him. It was New Year's, and I don't know if it was a year later or 2 years later, but it was at a New Year's party, and I was hooking up very rarely. I know this sounds like a macho story. I didn't fight that much. I didn't hook up with too many chicks. Story just happens to connect my few islands of making out and fighting. Hooked up with a chick named Dominique, who for some reason always had it bad for me and was kind of hot, and we were in the bathroom during this party over at Umgad's house, and it was it's an R-rated thing, no nudity, but we were macking out in the bathroom with the door shut, and there was a pounding at the door. And who was it? Well, it was Ray pounding on the door. Ray, leave me alone. I'm right in the middle of something here. Adam, get out here, buddy. I got something to show you. What? Ray, leave me alone. I'm sporting wood. Get out! Come out now! I come out. He's got Terry Mosier in a headlock.
Wow.
He found...
And you had a bat, but it was in your pants.
That's right. He found him at the party a year or so later, found me in the bathroom, and then dragged him literally in a headlock over to the bathroom and started beating on the door until I came out. And then it was like, what are we going to do with him, boss?
Yeah.
This is going to be good.
Did it involve duct tape?
I do, Ray, I do appreciate that. All the horrible things I say about you, but that kind of loyalty, where are you going to get that kind of loyalty?
Yeah.
It was like big game hunting. I was so happy when he mentioned his name. I heard him talking to somebody. My name's Terry. Terry what? Terry Mosier. I got him. I was so elated.
He didn't even know Ray. He was at a party.
No, I just heard him. I heard him talking. He was mentioning his name.
The guy suddenly finds himself in a headlock and being dragged up a flight of stairs.
And he knocks on the door.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
what did you guys do to him?
I was disoriented. I was drunk and had wood. I first mad at Ray. What are you doing? And then secondly, oh my God, this is the guy who hit me with the bat. But the poor guy was pleading for his life because in his mind's eye, this was the guy he hit with the bat and it made him angry. This is the guy who beat up his two toughest friends, and this is the guy who got hit with a bottle and seemed to be fine with it. So I had superhuman strength in his mind. Also, Ray was no cream puff either. Ray's the guy who showed up at the house and started throwing him around. So the guy just started pleading with his life. It was New Year's, and I turned the page, so we just let him go. That I remember from...
That's a marvelous story, isn't it, really? I envy that sort of achievement.
It ain't over.
Oh, part 3.
There's a small addendum to it, which is then... Oh, my God. Must have been like 7, 8 years after this. I'm living in a crappy apartment in North Hollywood with my stripper girlfriend, and I've decided to sell my Nissan Mini truck, my mini pickup truck, and I'm out front waiting for people to come, for scary foreigners who picked up the recycler to come meet me out in front of the apartment. And I'm just standing there in my shorts. It's a hot day, and here comes the world's most yoked, buff, scariest looking Mexican guy, and he's moving in to the apartment building. And I give him the, hey, just moving in? Well, welcome to the building, neighbor. It was a smallish building, probably about 12 units. I'm up at 13B up there. He's like, okay. And I thought, wow, this guy's scary. I better get on his good side. And he's moving in. I'm just standing out front with my truck. And after a few minutes, as he's walking back and forth to the moving truck, he goes, don't I know you? And I said, I don't think so. I don't know. Where you play any Pop Warner football? No. What'd you play? I played Little League over at Toluca Lake Little League. No, it's not that. I don't know. You went to North Hollywood High? No. I don't know. We fought, man.
No.
What? Yeah. So we fought out in the street. When was that? It's about 9 years ago. you're moving into my village? The guy's been doing nothing but creatine shakes ever since we fought out in the street. I was like, oh, my God. But I realized he was scared of me because I was the madman who got hit with the bat and the bottle, and it didn't bother him. So he was clearly scared of me, but it was weird. He brought it up to me, and it wasn't forgive and forget. We didn't have a laugh about it. He was just like, okay, that's right. And we went into the building. I moved out several weeks later, and the story continues. So there it is, full circle. Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome. He was still Adam. He was still scared of you.
Well, maybe that was it, but at that point, he'd put on 50 pounds of muscle, and I was now frightened of him. All right, Ray, thank you for corroborating my story.
That was a good story.
Thanks, buddy.
I know Ray doesn't like it when we play the monkey sound. When he comes on, he's offended by that.
He takes umbrage to it.
But I want to give that story 2 opposable thumbs up.